What's going on, everyone? I'm here with Hanson from Shifting Lanes, and we've been driving the all-new 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe in the foothills of Tennessee. So in this video, we're going to talk about the styling, which is a radical departure from the old Hyundai Santa Fe. We're going to talk about the powertrains, which are largely carryover from the old Hyundai Santa Fe. We're going to talk about the massive increase in technology, which is an extremely welcome upgrade. And if you watch one of our other videos and maybe some of our shorts, you're gonna see that this thing actually kinda can go off-road, which is pretty crazy, so stay tuned. All right, obviously the first thing you notice about the new 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe is the styling. It is a huge departure from the old Hyundai Santa Fe. I was not a fan of the way the old Hyundai Santa Fe looked, and you can check out my preview video I did of the Hyundai Santa Fe when I was at the LA Auto Show, where Hyundai revealed it, and I was immediately struck by how cool looking it is, even the controversial lower taillights, but like just how much of an improvement it was. I was not a fan of the old Hyundai Santa Fe's styling. I thought it looked weird, bulbous, kind of strange for the sake of being strange. The back end was super boring looking. The front end was ridiculous looking. This new one looks like a more cohesive design all around. I would love to know what you guys think about the way the new one looks. Tell me in the comments, like, do you like the way the new one looks? Do you think it's an improvement over the old one? I've heard a lot of kind of hot takes about the way the Hyundai Santa Fe looks, from the positive, it looks like a baby Defender, to the negative, it looks like a Ford Flex. But I think that this thing is a pretty solid design inside and out. And we'll get to the inside part in a second. But you tell me, like, where do your sort of like opinions lie on the way the new Hyundai Santa Fe looks? Are you a fan? I am a big fan. Megan said the jury's still out till she sees it in person. She's not with me here in Tennessee, so we'll see what her opinion is later when we get one to test. But as it sits here in this sort of rose gold, I'm digging it. All right, so the new Hyundai Santa Fe has 3 rows. All Santa Fes come with 3 rows. And there's a couple notable things back here that I want to point out. Normally, when Megan and I review cars, we just go blah, 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 it's got this much space, look how tall we are, and we fit or we don't fit or can carry all of our stuff. But the Santa Fe is interesting for a couple reasons. First of all, they all come with 3 rows. The packaging is very clever. You put that 3rd row down, you still have 40 cubic feet of cargo space behind the 2nd row, and with the 3rd row up, you have like 14 cubic feet of space. So it's not bad, but you put that 3rd row down and you have a lot of space. In this sort of class of SUV, only the Honda Passport has more space behind the 2nd row, and it's like 1 cubic foot. It's not much. They showed us in a presentation, and this thing is near the tops. And so I'm very impressed with how much space is inside the back of this thing. The other thing that's worth noting is the size of this opening. You may or may not be able to tell, but the size of the Santa Fe's opening, it's almost a clamshell rear door. This thing is massive, and it goes all the way to the edges, and it's got these gigantic struts to lift up this much larger rear hatchback. And so that has the benefit of making loading things into the Santa Fe incredibly easy, and it's incredibly wide across here. They enlarged that opening quite a bit. Now, one of the trade-offs to enlarging that opening is the fact that they had to move the rear lights down to accommodate the space for the larger strut. So I would personally say that that's worth it. I think that's a worthy trade-off, because here we have a sort of like mid-size crossover vehicle that has a ton of space for people and things, and we're going to get to that in a second, show you kind of the interior, but also the fact that I can sit behind myself with room to spare, which is very impressive in a vehicle of this class. But it's overall the roominess, and also in the 3rd row you get in the calligraphy trim, they get their own climate controls, their own charge port, multiple cup holders, and a power outlet back there. So in the rear seat space, not only do you have space, and it's enough for children. The 3rd row is not meant for like normal sized humans, but it's enough for children. But you get a ton of amenities, and you get power folding 2nd row, and everything is completely flat. And so Hyundai put a lot of thought into this rear cargo area, and that versatility, I think, pays off big time for people like us that maybe have older kids that don't need a massive amount of space, but appreciate the flexibility of something like the Hyundai Santa Fe. All right, so the powertrain of the Hyundai Santa Fe, you get two flavors, all right? This is the Calligraphy trim, and it comes with a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder, and it makes 277 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque, and that's running through an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Now, if that powertrain sounds basically familiar to you, it's because it is. It's the same basic powertrain as it was the old Hyundai Santa Fe. Stay tuned for some of the driving impressions though, because there have been some notable improvements made to the way the dual clutch drives. I was a little concerned about that. Maybe you're a little concerned about that. Megan was a little concerned about that because she liked the old Hyundai Santa Fe but didn't love the way the transmission behaved. This one seems to be improved, so we'll get to that in a second. There is another powertrain option. There is the 1.6-liter turbo 4 hybrid that makes 231 net horsepower. So you get a total of 231 horsepower and almost 200 pound-feet of torque. And that's running through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, the good thing about that, aside from the sort of normal behavior of the 6-speed automatic, is that you get mid-30s fuel economy average. In the presentation they showed us, the hybrid gets like 36 miles per gallon average, and this gets like 26 miles per gallon average. Both of those are solid figures, I think, in my opinion. But the hybrid powertrain really has me interested because I don't think that this feels especially powerful from behind the wheel. We'll talk about it later, but I think that I would be willing to give up a little bit of that power for that fuel efficiency gain. So let me know what you guys think about that. I think a hybrid in this class is interesting. Also, a little fun fact, I talked to some of the Hyundai reps that are here with us in Tennessee, and I said, are there plans, English teacher, right, 17 years, are there plans for a plug-in hybrid? And they said not currently, because they have some new EV offerings coming and they have more hybrid expansion in their lineup, and they just thought they were gonna focus more on hybrids for people making the step and then EVs for people that wanted to jump into kind of that forward-facing future stuff, you know, early adopters. So don't expect a plug-in hybrid anytime soon, if ever. My money is on never, but I think that the hybrid fuel economy is definitely worth checking out, and I'm interested. Oh, by the way, they also will offer the hybrid in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive in the Calligraphy trim, which was not previously available. So that's a bonus. So behind the wheel of the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe, Megan is not the one filming me right now. My buddy Hanson from Shifting Lanes is actually filming me because we're on this press drive together. So he's helping me out with the footage here. But I think both of us, we've been very impressed with the way that this thing drives, okay? The old Hyundai Santa Fe was not a favorite of mine. Megan really enjoyed it. She liked a lot about it. It rode reasonably well. It handled decent enough. We've got our navigation on because neither of us has any idea where we are, and we have to get back to a place that we have no reference point for. So we're just kind of winging it out here with Google Maps being our guide. But the old Santa Fe I found to be incredibly dull, and I think from behind the wheel, it just felt like an appliance to me. This one especially, and here's my big thing, and if you've watched our content before, you know this is something that I kind of obsess over, almost to the point of irritation with Megan. Body control in a softly sprung vehicle. That's good, we're only 2 miles away. Body control in a softly sprung vehicle is something that really bothers me when the vehicle rocks about, when it never settles down, never stops moving, and when it rocks side to side. I have no trouble with a softly sprung vehicle. This is a family SUV. I don't expect it to handle super tight. It's also not trying to be a Mazda CX-90 or a BMW X5. It's trying to be just a very comfortable mainstream vehicle. So that's fine, I got no problem with that. But what really impresses me about this Santa Fe is that it does pull off that magic trick of being soft, comfortable, smooth, and controlled. It's not rocking side to side. Some of these roads that we've been on up here in the foothills of Tennessee are really well paved and very nice with soft undulations, and this thing feels like it's almost imperceptibly moving. Like it feels absolutely serene from behind the wheel. The steering is good. It's a little tight off center to give you a sense of kind of like control, not sportiness, but it makes you feel like it's responsive. The power is decent. I do think 311 pound-feet of torque running through this dual clutch. It doesn't blow me away. It's fast enough. Hanson did a little brake torque earlier and we did a 0 to 60 and it was like okay, it's moving, but it's not gonna knock your socks off. We're also coming up to this giant bridge on the Natchez Trace Parkway, which is super cool. This thing is just awesome. I don't know how well you guys can see through the metal, but we are way high up. Megan would be absolutely terrified of this. But that's kind of the thing that sticks out to me the most about this thing, is that it is very comfortable and always controlled. We went over some really rough terrain and it felt great. It's also very quiet here in the calligraphy trim. And even when we took the XRT off-roading, both of us remarked at how comfortable it was in some pretty extreme situations. Now, not that, you know, you'd be going boulder crawling with one of these things, but we went over some nasty trails and never felt like we were getting pounded. It's just a very impressive sort of tuning job from Hyundai, and it shows that they took this thing, they took the development of this thing very seriously and absolutely nailed the bullseye of what their audience, or their, I say audience, hey, you guys are the audience, what their customers are probably going to do with this thing. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with this thing. I've enjoyed driving it. I think Megan will too. Maybe we can get one to test and get her behind the wheel, but you know, stay tuned for that. All right, so in the interior of the new Hyundai Santa Fe, I'm gonna show you a lot of B-roll of this because I want you guys to get like kind of the full experience inside the interior of the Santa Fe. They've done a lot of horizontal line stuff. You might have noticed as you've been watching this video that they are doing a lot of like H patterns everywhere. Whether you think that's cool or not, that's up to you. I kind of like it. I like how they're incorporating that into the design. But there's a couple things I want to point out as far as technology, and also follow some of our shorts and some of our other socials because I'm going to add stuff as they go. There is a ton of technology packed into this vehicle, and I don't know if I'm going to remember it all off the top of my head because we got to take it back. So I'm going to give you as much as I can remember in this quick spiel. First of all, space. Okay, if I sit in the driver's seat, it is motored back, so I actually have more space than I need. It's very adjustable. I feel like it's a good amount of space for someone my height. Hello, if you're a new viewer, I'm over 6'5", almost 6'6", so there is a ton of space in this vehicle. Also, the materials in this one with the calligraphy trim, you have Napa leather on the seats and the steering wheel. You got a fake suede headliner. You got fake wood and metal look. It's a very, very nice place to be. They've really done a good job dressing it up. You got the dual 12.3-inch displays here with the digital readout here. I'll show some of this in the B-roll, as well as the infotainment screen, which is running Hyundai's new updated BlueLink all infotainment. More on that in a second. You also have this 6-inch climate control display that has some buttons, some fake buttons, some like digital buttons for some things, but all your important stuff, your dials that you need for temperature and all that kind of access for volume control, tuning on the infotainment, and temperature on the climate control, those are all physical dials. And so they try to put everything that you might need like immediately as a physical button or dial, and then some of the enhanced features as a digital button. And I think that's a great trade-off. It feels very usable. I was never wanting for anything. Now, you also have two in the calligraphy trim wireless chargers. You've got a bunch of space down here. You've got the forward and backwards opening center console, which is just awesome. That's such a cool thing. Loads of charge ports in addition to that, as well as over here on the passenger side, a UV sanitation tray that you could put your phone in there that will sanitize your phone, as well as your regular glove box and all that kind of stuff. So that is pretty incredible to have like all of that. But the real thing that sets this thing apart is the BlueLink infotainment, BlueLink connectivity with your cell phone. So if you have the BlueLink app, you can start the car, walk up to the car, unlock the car, everything via your phone. And you don't even have to take it out of your pocket. It just reads using near field technology and that low energy Bluetooth signal, and you can read it all. And then using this fingerprint sensor here, you can tell the car who is driving it. And then it will set up all of your stuff the way you like it. So if I'm driving the car, I can do this and it will move the seat and everything into my position with all of my presets. And if Megan's driving the car, she can do the same thing. If Ella's driving the car, she can do it, but we can restrict certain features of the car based on her key access. And then if Hallie, who can't drive yet, wants to have access to the car, she can have full access, but actually can't start the car. So she can unlock the car, get anything out of it, do all these kind of things, but she can't actually start it up and drive away. That's all restricted based on her fingerprint and her phone app. Like, that's just a phenomenal amount of technology in a mainstream brand like Hyundai. And I just think like Hyundai is really advancing this level of technology in all of its vehicles, and this is gonna roll out across their lineup. I mean, the BlueLink phone connectivity is just awesome. It's such a cool feature to have. And in this calligraphy trim, which is right at $50,000, this feels like you are getting a ton of features and amenities for your money, in addition to convenience, like your phone charging and stuff like that. And don't forget Megan's favorite gear selector down here in the bottom part of the steering wheel, twist forward for forward, turn back for back. And she loves that. Let's see how I fit in the rear. And so as you can see in the back seat of the Hyundai Santa Fe, first of all, if you want me to get into third row, that's not gonna happen because it's totally pointless. The third row is spacious, but it's not that spacious. It's great for kids. But back here in the second row, you can see that I actually can fit fine behind this seat. And this seat motors back when you get out to allow you to get out easier. So I have plenty of space even with the seat motored back. The seat would actually be about another inch forward for where I like to sit. So the second row captain's chairs, in addition to being incredibly comfortable, we got some doggy friends running around out here. In addition to being incredibly comfortable, you've got a ton of space back here, and at almost 6'6", I still have headroom despite the fact that I have the dual pane sunroof. And so having the two sunroofs and headroom and knee room in these incredibly cushy seats makes this a very pleasant place to be for tall people, and my family is very tall. So we can get a vehicle like this downsized from our Suburban and not feel like we're really missing out on much of anything in terms of space and comfort. Not to mention you have heated seats back here, double cup holders with another bottle holder down in the door, and you have access to that trick folding double flipping center console. So it comes up for the front passengers and it goes up from back for here for access and your charge ports in the seats. I mean, Hyundai does such a good job of thinking of everything that you could possibly want in a vehicle and then just giving it to you. What a novel idea. So guys, let me know what you guys think of the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe, especially this calligraphy trim. We've done a ton of content across platforms, so go check out some of the other content, and also stay tuned for more about the XRT trim, because we did some actually insane off-road driving in it. Not like insane like you're out in Moab or something. I'm talking about insane for a crossover SUV like this. We did some pretty incredible trails in that thing, so we've got more coming on all of that stuff. So keep tabs on all the social channels. I'll put the links down below, and I'll also put them on screen so you can see where to follow us. But this thing is hugely impressive, and I really wish that Megan had been here to kind of give you guys the layman sort of female perspective on like what she thinks of this vehicle, because in my opinion, it's hitting all of these things that she really likes. And I want to know from you, is it hitting all of the things that you really like? Because if there's one thing that stands out to me about Hyundai and Kia and Genesis to a certain extent as well, they are so good at identifying what customers want in vehicles and then just giving it to them. They just give you guys everything that you're interested in. And the fact that you can get all of this stuff in a very nice looking, very nicely appointed mid-size crossover SUV for about $50,000 in this calligraphy trim. I think a little bit less in the hybrid trim if we're being honest, but you can get all of that in this thing with these advanced technologies, super comfortable driving dynamics, and tons of versatility in the space. I think the Hyundai Santa Fe is an absolute winner, like an absolute winner. It nails its reason for existing. So if you're interested in this, we'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you consider liking and subscribing, and don't worry, Megan will be back soon, all right? I'll see you in the next video. Blah, 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 something, something, something. All right, what did I leave out?